Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Kokab Manzoor, teacher, trainer and life coach. So we have discussed all the chapters and completions. Our course is finished. So today in this lecture we will be discussing the how to attempt the question paper, right? The objective part of the question paper, the MCQs that you will see in the exams as well. So we have covered some of the objective questions in earlier video as well. Today we will cover the last few chapters, that is from chapter number 18 to chapter number 25. So in this lecture we will be explaining or we'll solve in fact all the MCQs between chapter number 18 to chapter number 25. So you better do more practice on it, and I would say that not all the questions are covered here, because this video, the entire purpose of the video is just to give you a idea and give you some enable you to solve the questions by yourself. So some techniques will be discussed, and some you can say hints will be given that how you can tips will be given that how can you attempt the MCQs. So let's begin. So we'll begin with the chapter number 18, that is leadership, management and supervision. So you have to recall what we have studied in chapter number 18, because these here only we will discuss the questions between that is from chapter number 18. Okay, first question is which of the following is not one of the element of management identified by Fayol? So you see, we have studied Henry Fayol, Taylor and various other management gurus that they have given different types of theories about the management. So if you remember, Henry Fayol has given 5 functions, that was planning, controlling, organizing, commanding and coordinating. So control is given, coordination is given, command is given, so this option is the right option. So if you remember the Fayol's theories and Fayol concept of management, so then you can easily attempt it, right? Second is Banes argued that effective leaders needed to display certain generic skills. Which of the following is one of those skills, right? So if you remember, Banes had argued that leader must be able to identify their own strengths and weaknesses, that is management of self, right? So if you even don't know this, right, so you can see the option B, C and D, they are from you can say it's from the same category: management of finance, management of objectives, management of authority. Not same category, but they are different, and this is management of self. So you see, it is quite different from all these three. So just for your you can say kind of a tip for the exam, that if these kind of options are there, so you can say now either this option will be correct or these three will be correct. So obviously 3 options cannot be correct in one question, so there are more chances that option A will be the right one. So without even if you even don't know the answer, so this is how you can apply the guess, right? So you see, it is mentioned Banes argued that effective leaders needed to display certain generic skill, and which of the following which of the following is one of those skills, right? So you see, management of finance, management of objective, management of authority, it's all something different, and management of self, so it's little different concept. So you see, this gives you that how these options are different. So anyway, Banes in fact talked about the management of self, so in which he said the management of attention, meaning and trust. So it means it's all about self management. So this is just a tip that you can use it for even if you don't know the answer in any case. In a recent staff survey, manager F has been identified as highly focused on meeting production needs, but having little real concern about the well-being of the employee who report to her, according to Blake and Morton. If you remember, Blake and Morton have a kind of a managerial grid. It was like this, right? See, here we are measuring, let's suppose employee concern, and here we are measuring the production concern, right? So means how much it is task related management and how much it is employee related or human related, right. So, you see, according to the Blake and Mountain, which of the point of the managerial grid F is being placed. So, if you see, it is mentioned F has been identified as highly focused on meeting the production needs. So, mean it is more related to task oriented and having little real concern with the well-being of the employees. So, it is something here, right, from employee concern and high on the production. So, means it will be something like this, right, sorry here. So, this means that this is not improvised team management country club. So, its team management comes here, right, when a manager is more focused on the employees as well as on the task. Neither it is a country club, it is only task management, means less concerned about the employees and more concerned about the task. Okay, now this is chapter number 19, recruitment and selection of the employees. So, we will see that questions that comes from this chapter, how to attempt and try to figure out the right answer, right. Which of the following is not the part, not keyword, not the part of Rogers 7-point plan. So, if you remember, we have studied a 7-point plan of the Rogers were spatial aptitude, circumstances, interest, physical makeup, disposition, attainment and general intelligence. Like if when we are preparing the personal specification, in job analysis we have discussed job description, and when we are going to design the job. So, what kind of person is required? So, for that Roger has given this you can say 7 points plan, means a person's aptitude, circumstances, his or her interests, physical makeup means appearance, dispositions, attainments and general intelligence. So, it is mentioned which of the following is not. So, physical makeup is there, yes, attainment is there, circumstances are there, age is none of the concern of the Roger, right. So, D option is the right option. So, and we have also discussed that to remember these 7 points, you can use this acronym SCIPDAG, SIPDAG. So, in SIPDAG age is not the factor, so you can simply select this one. Okay, GBN PLC manufactures farming equipment and is looking to hire a large number of unskilled workers for a new factory that it is about to open in a city in the south of a country. U. Which of the following is likely to be the most appropriate location for GBN to advertise? So, you see it's now they have to advertise. So, what are the conditions? It is looking to hire a large number of unskilled workers. This is the key word, right, unskilled workers. So, you see I always focus on one thing, you need to be able to identify the key words in the entire sentence which determine the answers, or you can say we determine the right answer given in the options. And where it want to open? In a city in the south of the country. Which of the following is likely to be most approved? So, unskilled people, if so they don't use website, simple. Mostly unskilled worker, they are uneducated and they belongs to a lower class or lower middle class usually. So, they may not be very much interested in website, right. Secondly, national television, since we are going to hire a unskilled labor, so television advertisement will be too expensive because it is going to show the that ad on the television which is broadcasted in the entire country. So, we do not want to hit the entire country, we just need a south of a country, so part of the country. Next is local newspaper or radio. Yes, this seems more relevant area where there are radio is used, local radio. And farming, trade publication and journals, unskilled people are least concerned about journals and publications, right. So, the right option will be C. So, this is how you can figure out the option. You see, as it is mentioned, GBN own website and trade journals are unlikely to attract unskilled individual as they have little or no need to farm equipment. Similarly, national television is likely to unnecessarily expensive because it will cost too much, and establishing, especially in GBN, attempting to recruit worker for a single factory that is in the south of the country. So, this is the right option will be local newspaper or radio, because it is in a specific part of the country. So, it's better to use the local radio and advertise for the unskilled labor. Psychometric test checks candidates' competencies, skills and abilities relating to the job that they have applied for. This can be useful as a way of ensuring that appropriate candidates are selected for each role. Is this statement true? You see, this definition that is given about the psychometric, it is not for the psychometric. Psychometric testing, neither it does not check the competency, skill or abilities. You see, as the name clarifies, psycho, so it's more relevant to what? It is more relevant to psychological factors such as aptitude, intelligence, personality, etc. So, it's not relevant to competency and skills and abilities. So, it's a false statement, right? Simply. So, for competency, skills and abilities, we can have other tests which are more related to subject. Psychometric testing is all about the personality testing, psychological testing, right? So, this definition is not correct, right? So, it's a false statement. Which of the following is not a reason for adopting an equal opportunity policies for an organization? Which of the following is not? So, usually you will see this word not in different sentences. So, you have to be very careful, right? Which of the following is no? Okay, what was the equal opportunity employer concept? If you remember, we discussed in detail. Equal opportunity policy means that the job is open for all type of people, irrespective of their gender, color, nationality, ethnicity, religiosity or any other variable. So, it is purely based on merit, whether you are able or whether you are, even if you are a disabled person or you are a male or a female or transgender or from one country or another country or belongs to one religion or another religion. We do not believe in any of these things, we just believe on merit. This is the concept of equal opportunity, right? Now, is it legal requirement? Yes, it is a legal requirement. Sorry. So, here we need to figure out which is not the reason for opportunity. So, legal requirement, yes, it is a legal requirement. It will improve the organization reputation. Yes, it can improve the organization reputation. Ethically, it is good. Yes, ethically it is good, but it will not help the reduction in the labor cost because it has nothing to do with the labor cost. So, C is not the option. C is not the reason for adopting equal opportunity. So, C is basically the right option. Clear? C is the right option. So, equal opportunity does not mean that the worker can be paid less. There should therefore be no reduction in the wages bill, right? Next is A has placed an advertisement in her local paper for an employee to work in her shop. The advertisement states that A is looking for what? Now, here A is looking for female shop assistant who must under the age of 25 and should be married. 3 restrictions, right? 3 keywords. Is it a direct discrimination, indirect discrimination or victimization? So, it is first point is it is simply first you need to understand it is not victimization. We are not in this advertisement, nobody is victimized. They have simply given an ad where they need a female under the age of 25 and that female should be a married one. So, it is a clear discrimination, direct discrimination and not an indirect discrimination, not indirectly hitting another kind of a category. If you remember, we have studied that if they need a person with no beard, so means no religiosity might have been you can say discouraged. So, that is an indirect discrimination. Here it is simply mentioned female under age of 25 and married. So, only A is the right option. It's a direct discrimination. Next is culture was expressed by Handy as a sum total of the belief, knowledge, attitude, norms and custom that prevails in an organization. If you remember the definition of Handy, so simply you can cross this because it is not the definition given by the Handy. Here it is mentioned which of the above statement is correct. So, simply this is not correct. Why? If you remember, we have studied the Handy definition was, he said culture is the way we do the things around here. So, if this first is false, so this option is automatically gone. This is gone. So, if one is gone, so this means C is also gone because both are not clear. Now, let us take the second one. The tales of the company creation, such as difficulties the founder had to face and how this person managed to overcome them successfully, often form a part of organization culture. So, we studied in detail that the histories, how the organization was formed and what kind of problems and difficulties and challenges the entrepreneur or the founders had faced and what are the phases through which they have gone. So, that basically contribute in the part of the organizational culture. Means if the person had faced a lot of difficulties and lot of challenges and he has never given up or she has never given up and continued to work on and tried new and new things and worked it and finally got succeeded. So, this means in this organization then there must be the culture which is prevailing, that culture must be of taking new risks and trying new things and based on experimentations, new experience, right. So, in this organization you will see this kind of culture, but if it is a vice versa, the culture will be different. So, what the point is, the history of the organization do contribute in the part or in forming the organization culture. So, this is a true statement. So, this is true only. So, this means this is also gone, right. This is how you can figure out. Chapter number 20, that was as individual, group and team. So, in this chapter we had the discussion about how teams are formed and how groups are formed, what are the different types of groups and teams. So, let us discuss what kind of question we can see here. Y has recently started a new job in a store. She has been asked to wear uniform that identify her as junior member. This is a keyword. She was asked to wear a uniform which identify her as a separate kind of member, means junior staff member, and which is quite different from those worn by the store manager. Now, according to the role theory, what is Y's uniform an example of? So, we have studied various roles, role behavior, role set, role conflict, role sign, etc. So, I would say that you need to go back and do little revision on it if you do not remember, basically because it is little confusing. So, just here the uniform is something that is visible. I am just trying to give you the hint, the tip that how you can identify, right. So, uniform is that is something significant visible. So, when something is visible, it is more relevant to signs. Clear? It is not a behavior, uniform is not a behavior, it is not a role set, mean not something written in duties, and there is no conflict apparent, there is no sign of conflict. So, this is role sign. So, role sign is a visible indication of an individual and uniform is a classic example of visible indication. So, simply you can figure out. So, I am trying to give you these extra justification just to help you, just to make you or enable you that if you even do not know the answer of a question, so how can you exercise your guess, how can you exercise your intuition to reach at a right option for selection of the right option in of a question, right. So, because sometimes in exam you may forget the things or you may even may not know the answer. So, then this way you can hit the guess right. Assertive behavior violates another individual's right and often lead to conflict. Is it this statement true? Apparently, it is false. Sorry, clearly it is false, right. Why it is false? Assertive behavior does not violate another's behavior. If you know the even meaning of assertiveness, means when you say something or do something with a confidence and with determination and with clarity, so it's more relevant to solving the problems and doing the things in the right way rather than generating the conflict. So assertive behavior is direct, honest and professional communication. So this definition is about aggressive behavior and not of the assertive behavior. So this is simply a false statement. So B is the right option. Consider the following statement regarding group effectiveness. Okay, so what kind of group effectiveness it is? What we have to do, which of these statement is or correct? First one, group decision making may be slower than individual decision making. Yeah, it's correct. Why? Because individual decision depends upon one person, while group decision depends upon so many person. So and their agreement is usually required for making at a certain consensus or reaching at a certain consensus. So it may takes more time, right? So group decisions making may be slower. An interesting word is may be, right? If it was like this, group decision making always be slower, then we would have not selected it as a right, because usually it's happening that group decision takes time. Secondly, competition may exist in the group which is always destructive. You see, now this is what I am trying to focus on. This one word make this entire sentence wrong. Competition in the group may exist, yeah, it's true, but it is not always destructive. Sometimes competition is good and it gives you new dimensions, new areas to think about, right? And it encourages the you can say the competition is in a good form, right? It encourages others to perform better and to think better and to do better. So competition may exist in the group. If it was like this, which may be destructive, then it was correct, but now this one word changed the meaning. So again, once again I am repeating this always, that always focus on these kind of words, may, usually, always, sometimes, because these words decide the you can say answer of the question, right? Hope you got the concept. Okay, so this is wrong. Group tends to produce decisions that are compromises and may be less effective than those made by individuals. You see, again the word may be. Group tend to produce decisions that are compromises. Yes, usually when in group we make the decisions, so we may make compromises because there are 5 people, 6 people, so someone might have to compromise for the when let's suppose 3 people are saying one thing and 5 people are saying other, so then we have these 3 might compromise, so there may be chance and may be less effective. So this word may be, if it was like it is always less effective, then the statement is wrong, but now it is maybe less effective. Yes, there is a chance. So group decisions might be a compromise and may be less effective, so it's true. So far option 1 and option 3 are true. Okay, individual decisions are subject to more controls than those made by groups. No, it's not correct. Individual decisions are subject to more no, they are not subject to more control, rather than group decisions are more control. Why? Because if my decision can be cross examined by my group members and their decision can be cross examined by the others, so there is a in group there is more control. So this is wrong. So option 1 and 3, so this is wrong, 1 and 2 is wrong, 1 and 3, so this is correct one. Which of the following types of behavior is more likely to diffuse conflict when dealing with the people? So it's obvious, aggressive behavior never diffuse the situation, it usually ignite the situation. Aggressive means when you are more like inclined towards fight, and you can say anger is there, so anger usually don't diffuse the things. Passive, again you are a kind of a neutral, you are having a behavior of you can say kind of a neutral behavior. So neutral behavior will not diffuse the situation, so you don't take much part on it. So simply assertive behavior is the right option, is more likely to lead the conflict, while passive behavior, they ignore it and they just act as a neutral. So usually, so in this case assertive is the right answer. Okay, now chapter number 21, this is motivating individuals and groups. Okay, so highly satisfied people always show increased level of productivity in an organization compared to dissatisfied employees. You see, apparently it seems true, but again this one word, always. Highly satisfied people may show the increased level of productivity, but it is not necessarily that it is always showing higher level of productivity. So satisfied people, employee means that they are not going to leave the job, they are happy with it, whatever they are getting, and they are contented, that's it. But it does not mean they are highly motivated as well, right? So highly satisfied employees may show an increased level of productivity in an organization, but does not always. So this statement is false. So don't get confused with these. You see, you think if employee is satisfied, so obviously his productivity will be high. No, it may happen and it may not happen. So this one word is a decisive word. Clear? You see, remember that satisfaction looks at whether the worker is content with their existing job or not looking for another, right? So it does not necessarily means that they are working harder for their role. So they are just satisfied, that's it. B is a caretaker at a school where his wife is a teacher. Okay, then they have 3 young children and have just moved into a new house, which they cannot afford at B's wife's salary alone. Which of the Maslow hierarchy need they are likely to be motivating? So you see, house is a basic requirement, basic need. So simply, if you remember Maslow hierarchy of the need, there are 5 levels. The first one was basic, then safety, then security, then you see social need, then self-esteem, and then self-actualization, ego, etc. So A is the right option, basic. Parallel can be drawn between Maslow hierarchy of needs and Herzberg 2-factor theory. You know, Herzberg 2-factor theory, if you remember, one factors, he categorized all the factor into 2 categories. One was motivators, another was hygiene factors. Yeah, I hope you remember, but if you don't, so just go back and little study on it. So we can make these 3 theory as parallel. How? Like for example, Maslow ego needs can be linked to motivating factor of recognition. So one of the motivating factor, I can say proclaimed by Herzberg is recognition. Similarly, now what the question is, which hygiene factor from the following would be the best match with Maslow? So if you remember, hygiene factors were those factors which can make a person stay away from dissatisfaction, right? They are not going to motivate them, but they can at least make them not dissatisfied. So sport facility is more relevant with the hygiene factors. Sport facility, pay, pension, working conditions are not, because social needs of the worker could at least be in part and may be met with the provision of sports facilities. It's more relevant to social. So what the question is, hygiene factor from the following will be the best match to the following social needs. So Maslow has at third level they are having social needs. So in sports facility is provided, so person can have their social needs like playing games with and interacting with other people, building network. So it has nothing to do with the pay, pension and working condition. Which of the following is not an issue that need taking into account of when setting the basic salary of level of the employee? I mean, which factor we don't take into account? Rewards offered by similar and rival organization, yes, we do take into account. So it's not the right option. You know, when you are setting the basic salary of a person, so you need to take into account what your competitors are offering for the same position. So you do take. Legislation and regulation, yes, you do take this into account, because if let's suppose there is a minimum wage rate legislation, so if you are setting the basic salary, so that must not be lower than that level, right. So you do take this factor. Motivation of the employee, you don't take this factor into account, so this is the right option. When you are setting the salary, so we don't set salary based on the motivation of the person, we set salary based on our competitors, what they are charging, what is the rule regulation, and what is the total cost, salary cost to the organization. So we do take these variable, but not this one. So such kind of question are more trickier. So usually you say yeah, reward is the right option or legislation, because they do take, but here the question is what they do not take into account. Okay, next is learning and training at work. Learning and training, learning, training, development and education. J is an employee at company Y. He has recently been sent on a course by his company to help him learn about basic accountancy principle. Is it education? No, it's not an education. Why? Because it's not something formal, you can say regular school or college degree, but it's just a short course. Reskilling, no, it is nothing, no reskilling, it's a training. This is an classical example of training, when you are being hired and you are sent somewhere to get relevant skills to your, get skills relevant to your job, right. So since he has been hired as an accountant, so for basic accountancy principle he has been sent on a course. So, and it's not development, because development is a long term and future oriented kind of you can say courses or activities. Here it's a short term, right. So J is learning a new skill or a particular area or activity, so it's training, it's not the development. Okay, development is the planned and systematic modification of behavior through learning events, program and instruction, which enables individual to achieve a level of knowledge, skill, and this is a classic example of training. So simply it's false, because development is planned, is not planned and systematic modification of behavior, rather it's a planned activity for a future oriented and long term. Like if you remember, I have given an example that if a university sends his professor or a lecturer for a higher studies, mean PhD or postdoc, to another university or another country, so that will be a kind of development program for the faculty of that university, right. So in this case it may take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and once that degree is obtained, and then the person will come back, and then the person will contribute to that his or her university. So in this case it is a long term, so there is no systematic modification of behavior through a learning event or a program or instruction. So this is usually takes place in training. H has been given a new role at her workplace to prepare. She makes sure that she has read all the relevant documentation and technical summaries relating to her new role. So important word is she has read all the information, right. According to Kokab, what stage of H, what stage of learning is H beginning at? So if you remember, Kokab has designed 4 different you can say stages of learning. So active participation, experimentation, abstract, conceptualization, reflective and concrete. So reflective is more relevant to thinking, active experimentation is doing something, abstract conceptualization is all about reading the basic information about the role. So H is attempting to understand her new role in a theory before she begins. So she is basically at abstract conceptualization. See, since she is reading the information or documentation and all about her new roles. A theorist learns best from what? Activities where they can observe other people, being given time to think things over, having time to prepare, and structured learning. Which of these statements are correct when considering learning style of theorist. If you remember, this theory was given by Honey and Mumford. They have developed 4 learning styles and they named it reflector, activist, theorist and pragmatist. So, reflectors are more relevant to these 3. What they do? They think, they reflect. You see, activities they can observe. They see, so they are just observing the things. Now they are thinking over it, and they take their times to prepare and for or generate some ideas. So that all 3 are relevant to reflector. So that we left only with one thing, that is structured learning. So theorists are mostly related to structured learning. So option D is the right option. So even you see, these 3 are similar kind of activities: observation, thinking, and then taking time to prepare, while structured learning is something different. So you can even figure out this way. Chapter number 3, 23, that is review and appraisal of individual, how to appraise an employee. So that was another interesting and chapter that we had discussed. Question: an avoidable reason for staff leaving could be. So we have studied various reasons for staff leaving: unavoidable, avoidable, and discharge, etc. So illness is not avoidable. Employee gross misconduct, if his employee is involved in misconduct, so it's not avoidable, it's unavoidable. We have to this person has to be discharged or struck off. Poor working condition, this is avoidable, means we can convert these poor working conditions into better working conditions. So means if the person is leaving for this reason, so we can improve the working condition and we can avoid this staff leaving reason. So C is the right option. Redundancy is obviously discharge. Consider the following stages of the performance appraisal process: action plan and monitoring, production of an appraisal report, identification of assessment criteria from corporate plan, and appraisal interview. Identify which of the following option places the right these stages in a correct order. So first one, you see, now here is an interesting game, right? Just look at the options. This one is 2, 2, and this one is 3, 3, right? I'm just giving you a tip how to figure out the right option. So first read the sentence 2. Production of an appraisal report, obviously it can never be the first stage of the appraisal. So means this option and this option is gone. Simple. This can, how can you, even if you don't know about the performance appraisal, so you can easily, just by looking at this statement, you can easily assess production of an appraisal report can never be a first stage. Then what is the first stage? Read number 3, identification of assessment criteria from a corporate plan. So first stage is identify at what criteria we need to assess, and this assessment criteria can be taken from the corporate plan. So whenever you are going to appraise someone, or whenever organization want to appraise someone, so they first need to identify the assessment criteria. So you see, so this means either C or D will be correct. So for sure A and B are gone. So now you have 2 options out of which you need to figure out which one is correct. Done. So this is, in this way you can eliminate the irrelevant options. Okay, next is, once the identification assessment is done, the next stage is production of an appraisal report. So based on this we produce the report. Then what we do? Then we have appraisal interview. So once the report is generated, then we discuss it with the appraisee, means the one who is being appraised. So we get his idea or her idea about the appraisal report, and finally we have action plan and monitoring, what to do. So 3, 2, 4 and 1. So 3, 2, 4 and 1, this is the right option. GHF is a large company which is currently undertaking an appraisal of the performance of its employee. Many employees have complained that outcome of their appraisal had no link to pay rise. So, employee have complained this, that whatever they are doing appraisal, so it has nothing to do with the rewards they received. So, according to Lockett, what aspect of successful appraisal process this company is missing? Relevance? No, it's nothing. There is nothing about relevance. It's about serious intent. Because why is it missing? Because the employee are complaining that whenever we are being appraised, so whatever outcome of that appraisal is, our reward is not linked. So, means the management is not seriously involved in it. So, means as per Lockett, serious intent is missing in their performance appraisal. So, cooperation and efficiency are the irrelevant item in it. Chapter number 24 is personal effectiveness at work. So, we may have different kind of questions from this chapter as well, like conflict between individual always damage operations of an organization and should be avoided where possible. So, without looking at the blue box, just read the sentence and answer it. Yeah, I am sure you have taken the right answer. The very first thing that you need to point out is this word, always. The key word, always. Remember, always, remember, always. Right? Write down this word sentence with you, right? Because this one is a decisive, this word is decisive word for your selecting the options, right? So, conflict between individual, if the sentence was conflict between individuals may damage the operation, then it was absolutely correct. But here it is mentioned conflict between individual always damages operation and should be avoided. No, sometimes we have a lot of benefits of the conflicts. Conflicts means disagreement. It's a divergence of interest, two different people thinking differently. So, they may come up with the better solution. So, if there is no conflict, so means they all are thinking in one way. So, we cannot go for innovations, we cannot go for new avenues and new approaches, right. So, conflict sometimes is very good for organization, and that conflicts lead to the innovation and new ideas and novelties and new approaches. So, the statement is not correct. The right option is B option. Conflict between the individual not always damages the operation, sometime it is good. So, it can therefore be a way of workers challenging the existing way of working and suggestions of innovation and improvement which may be beneficial to the organization. So, conflict may damage, but it not always damages. Okay, two employees are currently in conflict with each other. Okay, done. They only have to work together for a short period on a mutual project. Okay, but the conflict has progressed to the point where they have stated that they are no longer willing to work with one another. Means conflict has intensified now, right, between the two people, and those they have to work together on the same project. Now, what the manager is doing? Their manager is very busy. No, the manager does not have time to sort out this conflict, but is aware that it will be impossible to reach the compromise between the two workers. And not only that, the manager is also very busy and don't get the time to solve it, and he or she also knew that it is impossible to reach at a compromise between these two, because the conflict has rise to such an intensity that there is no possibility for conciliation. So, which approach to conflict management would the manager find most appropriate? So, denial, it is not the right option. Resolution is not possible, because the person does not cannot see any possible resolution. There is no reduction in negotiation chances, because he or the manager does not have much time to sit together and negotiate and then try to figure out some way. It is very difficult, but still he has to go with it. So, the manager will try to suppress it and will try to suppress this conflict till the project is finished, and once the project is finished, then these two people can be separated. So, here in such situations, suppression is the right option. Which of the following is one of the SMART criteria? So, we have studied SMART in detail. specific, measurable, attainable means achievable, relevant and time bound. So, which one is mentioned? Suitable, reliable, mandatory and relevant. So, only relevant is mentioned. These three are not the part of SMART goals. Competency framework lists the qualifications that the job holder needs in order to perform effectively in a given role. So, we have studied that competency framework lists what? It does not list qualification. What it lists? It lists skills, attributes and knowledge required in a particular role rather than just simply qualifications. So, competency framework is not only about the qualifications, it involves skills that are required, the attributes that are required and the different types of knowledge that are required that job holder must have to perform that certain task. So, the right option is false. It's a false statement. So, competency framework list qualification, attributes, skills, knowledge, all these things to perform effectively. Okay, last chapter, communicating in business. How can and how we communicate in business. Misha, an office junior, is asked to send message to the head of another department. What type of communication is this? Diagonal, horizontal, vertical or lateral? So, if you remember, we have studied vertical is between same level, production manager and marketing manager, right? So, they are same level. So, here Misha, office junior, asked to send the message to the head of another department. So, it is not same level. Similarly, it is not one department, so it is not vertical as well. So, vertical we have studied that production or you can say marketing manager and marketing officer. So, they are two different levels, but same department. So, here it is not the same department. So, vertical is also not clear, and if it is not horizontal, it is not lateral as well, it is a diagonal. Diagonal means you are junior person, junior officer of one department, department A, right, and another you are communicating with another department B at a senior officer. Senior officer, I am trying to write it as clear as possible. So, diagonal communication is when one junior person is communicating with a senior person of another department. So, diagonal is the right option. Which of the following is not usually a purpose of horizontal communication? What is not the purpose? In horizontal, you see we are communicating almost at the same level. You see lateral communication refer to the communication between individual at a same level. So, at same level what we do? We are doing task coordination. Yes, we may be discussing problem solving, but we do not give instructions at same level. Instructions are given and different level, means when top we can say high senior level gives instruction to junior level, but since in horizontal we usually do not give instructions. Here the word usually is very important. And conflict resolution, we sit together and we may solve the conflict at same level. So, all A, B and D are the purpose of lateral communication, but C is not the purpose of horizontal communication. Which of the following is likely consequence of lack of downward communication? What was downward communication? When we communicate to the junior level, right, means when top management is communicating to lower level management, when senior communicates to junior. So, that is called downward communication, means when communication is coming from upside down, right. Okay, which of the following is likely consequence? What this will be the result of when there is no proper when there is no proper downward communication. So what will be the result? Rivalry between section and department, difficulty when introducing change, poor awareness of corporate objectives. So means top management if not communicating with the lower level management properly, so the lower level, at lower level they will not be able to understand, they will not be aware about what the corporate objectives are, since there is no proper communication. So lower level management is not receiving any communication or better communication from top management. So how could be they aware that what are the our corporate objectives? So the C is the right option. So this is how you need to communicate. So this is how you need to figure out the right and the wrong option as well. So hope you got the concept. There are few questions that we have done it from all these chapters, just to give you an idea, and just it was a kind the purpose was just to refresh your mind and refresh your memories as well, whatever we have studied in the previous lectures as well. So you can do practice from your book. It's in study notes, there are more questions as well, answers are also given. So I would advise you, you better have more and more practice on it, and the more you practice on it, the more you will be able to learn and figure out the keywords, the way I always focusing on. So thank you very much, take care, and if there is any confusion, question, query, you can discuss, share. I teach ACCA F1 paper online, and for any help or guidance you can also contact me. So YouTube channel is there, around 200 videos are there about different subjects. You can go there and solve free, watch and enjoy. Best of luck for your exams.